Welcome, friends. This video is very significant for two key reasons. One is the Professor Krishnamurti's special pointers on the second house. Now, these have largely gone unnoticed within the KP community. Second house we know is house of gains and accumulation, but it is also for the family or the kutum. So when a person is running the dasha, antar or the pratyantar related to the second house, then these two things, the gains and the kutum, they come into a focus, sharp focus. And this is where Professor KSK has mentioned something special about the second house. So I'm going to discuss that and I'm going to illustrate that with an example. There is so much of substance around the second house plus the Kutumb that a complete exclusive report or the reading can be prepared just by focusing on these two key aspects. So I will also show you how to prepare a horoscope reading with an exclusive focus on the Dasha, Antar, Pratyantar plus the second house. So when I use the word DAP, it's Dasha, Antar and Pratyantar. Now this report is something for which your client will gladly pay for your time, and they will also have some appreciation for you. Now with this video, I am going to start a series of videos to guide you how to use the Jyotish portal to prepare and deliver paid reports for your clients. Now let me, before I navigate to the Jyotish portal where we will take an example horoscope, but before that, let me give you some more perspective about why we are talking about the second house that indicates the accumulation of money, gains, and prosperity through a person's individual effort. At the same time, it also indicates the kutumb. So all close relatives like the grandfather, grandmother, father, mother, wife, children, brother, sister, etc. in the family without reference to any particular relationship. That's why the word kutumb is there. So the focus is on the money gains plus the kutumb. Now the one of the things that you might have noticed in the classic text, that when a person is going through the dasha antara of the benefic planets in the second house, then it is said to enhance the financial stability and also the harmony in the kutumb, both things. So the positive effects are happening to both things. It is increasing the financial gains for that person, and at the same time it is creating a harmony in the kutumb or the family members. Now this point, if you think about this particular point, then you will see that in practical real life it doesn't actually align with this very straightforward kind of a perspective. Now you might have noticed that a person might experience a period of significant gains and accumulation of wealth, but during the same period the wife or the business partner could face struggles and challenges. When I'm talking about the business partner, I mean, you have these business partners who kind of become a part of the family. So here the keyword kutum, we have to remember the keyword is kutum. So within the kutum itself, the person is going through a good period, having gains, but the wife might not be having a good time, and she might be having her own troubles and challenges. See, this is the example horoscope I'm going to take is about a male. So that's why I'm mentioning the word wife. But you have to understand in the context of a spouse. So if it is a female chart, then it means the husband will go through challenges, and in the case of a male chart, it's going to be the wife. And at the same time, the child might achieve honor, but the person's father may fall ill, and he may incur death also. Mother might be making some gains and profits during this period, and but the younger siblings could lose jobs. So you see, there these contradictory results are happening, and they all these contrasting experience, they are kind of coexisting in the kutum. Two family members are having a good time, another two are going through a bad phase. Person himself is having a positive period, because that's what the second house indicates. So now, how do you explain these things? If you look at the classic text, where they have just mentioned that if a benefic planet is there, and then during its dasha, the financial stability and the kutumb harmony is both promised, but it doesn't here. It doesn't happen that way, and that is what I'm going to show you with an example, and I will also show you how to interpret how each of the family members might be going through ups and downs during the period when the main person might be earning good money. So now we are at the Jyotish portal, and I have already prepared a chart, example chart, that will going to discuss. So this is the Mahendra Kumar. This is just an example chart, and the birth date is 9 September 1990. So let's focus on first his second house. What happens when his second house dasha become active? What happens from the perspective of the other Kutumb members? So that let's discuss for all the Kutumb members. You see, when Mahendra is running the dasha of the second house, then for the wife, it becomes the eighth house. So let's write it down. For wife, it is the eighth house. And then for other, I will just take the other key members of the family. So for, let's look at for the mother. Now, if you count from the mother, you see, we have to look at the second house. So if you count from the mother, which is indicated by the fourth house, then you get 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, right? So mother 11, and then for the children, son or daughter. Now, if you count from the fifth house, which indicates the son or the daughter, then you have 7, 8, 9, and 10. So for child, it is the 10th house. And then we will also take father. So now for father, it's going to become the, now in Shmurti Paddhati, you have to always take ninth house for father, not the 10th house. So from here, if you take the second house, then it becomes the 6th house. So father is 6th. Now since we have already identified what kind of houses for each of these key members of the Kutumb, for the wife, mother, child or the father will become active, then you find that for the wife, and this is the most important question, for the wife it is the 8th house, which is a bad house. Okay. Similarly for the father, also it's kind of bad house. Okay. Now the question is, if Mahendra is going through a very good period where he is making a good financial gain because of the second house, then what happens to the wife at that time? Because she is undergoing, or her 8th house from Mahendra's chart has become active. So does it mean that every time Mahendra is having a gain through the second house, then wife is going through some bad phase, some struggle, some misery, because that's what the 8th house indicates. For the mother, it is 11. So does it mean that every time Mahendra is going through the second house, then mother is also making some gain, some profit? And for the children, it is the 10th house. So which basically means some kind of a merit or a recognition, or maybe some scholarship at the school, because that's what the 10th house indicates. And for the father, it is the 6th house. So that could be some father might be raising some kind of a debt, or he might get into some kind of a ailment. So how do you decide this? One dasha, bhukti, and so many different flavors. And then how do you decide? It's not necessary that when Mahendra is going through the second house period, then wife will invariably go through the bad phase. It doesn't happen. None of these cases invariably happen. So now the key to understanding this is in what is the magic in Krishnamurti Paddhati, and that is the ruling planets. So this is the key to unlock how each of these key members of the Kutumb will experience high or low period or neutral period when Mahendra is only going through a positive period of gains. So what are the ruling planets? Those are ascendant star lord, then the ascendant sign lord, moon star lord, moon sign lord, and the day lord. Day lord. So these are the ruling planets. Now, even before we go further, first look at what kind of dasha the Mahendra is going through. Let's first look at whether he is going through the dasha that is giving some good strong result for uh, the second house or not. So now in Mahendra's chart, if you look at the significator of the second house, then you find that those significators are Jupiter, Ketu, and Saturn. But you should also look at whether the other node, that's Rahu, is any way connected with this or not. Because here, if you look, then you will find that Rahu is also indicating the second house. And this is happening because Rahu is in Capricorn, which which is ruled by Saturn. So Rahu is representing Saturn, which is the ruler of the second house. So we get Jupiter, Ketu, Saturn, and Rahu. Mahendra, second significator. That was Jupiter, Ketu, Saturn, and Rahu. Let's put it in the Dasha order. So we'll have so these are the planets. Those are strongly signifying the second house. So during the Dasha Antara of these planets, Mahendra is going to make gains. So that we know for sure. Now let's look at the ruling planets of the wife. Our question is that when Mahendra is going through a period and he is making gains, what happens to the wife at that time? So let's look at the ruling planet for the wife. Now for that you will need the wife's horoscope so that you can note the ruling planet. And let's say the wife's name is Rakhi, and here. So Rakhi's ruling planet are Ketu, Jupiter, Mars, Mercury, and Moon. So these are the Rakhi's ruling planet. By looking at Rakhi's horoscope, we were able to find that what were the ruling planet of Rakhi. So now let's match with the Mahendra second house significator. So we find Ketu is here, Ketu is here. So we'll keep both. Jupiter is here, Jupiter is here, right? And we don't find Mars. So probably we'll just remove Mars from this list. And then we don't find Mercury. So we will remove. See, this is our criteria. You have to look at what are the planets that are signifying the second for Mahendra. And in the ruling planets for Rakhi, whatever planets are not matching, you just remove it. Mercury also we don't find. So now what we find is Ketu and Jupiter, right? These two planets. And in the Mahendra's second signification, we find Ketu, Rahu, Jupiter, and Saturn. Now let's look at what Dasha Mahendra is going through. So now whenever you want to look at what the current Dasha Mahendra is going through, so all you have to do is just click on here, the current Dasha. It will immediately take you to the current Dasha. So Mahendra is going through the Rahu Mercury period. Now we find Rahu over here, but we don't find Rahu in the Rakhi's chart. But the combination that we can still make is that when Mahendra is having Rahu Dasha, and since his Mercury period is already over, he is undergoing Rahu, and then Rahu Jupiter is there. So Rahu Jupiter, this period we can identify. So what is the Rahu Jupiter period? Rahu Jupiter period starts from the July 22, 2026. So we'll make a note. 20. Now within the Rahu Jupiter, we have to look at the Ketu. Why we are taking Ketu? Because Ketu has appeared over here as the ruling planet for Raki, and Ketu has also appeared over here as a planet that is signifying the second house, putting the focus on the second house. So this is the period, right? August. This period is from August and September, right? So we will say that Rahu, Jupiter, Ketu, and this period is from so now what's going to happen to Rakhi is, you see the Mahadasha Lord is not appearing over here. So we will not say it's going to have a very big negative effect on the Rakhi's timeline during this particular period. But still this combination, Jupiter-Ketu combination uh, is appearing. And here you can see that Jupiter and Ketu, these two are the ruling planet of Rakhi. So when Mahendra is going through the Jupiter Dasha, Rahu Dasha, Jupiter Antardasha, and Ketu Pratyanta Dasha, all these three planets are signifying the second house. So at that time, the Mahendra starts gaining some money. He suddenly finds himself in a good positive period where now he is accumulating not only cash but jewelry also, bonds and shares and stock, everything that second house indicates. So that's a good period for the Mahendra. But since the out of these three, the two, Ketu and Jupiter, which are the ruling planet of Rakhi, are matching. So this is what you have to identify in that report. We'll go to the report section where we will prepare the whole report about how each of the Kutumb members are going to be having low or high period. But there we want to identify during this period there is some concern on part of Rakhi, because for Rakhi the 8th house has become active, right? So see this point, once this point is clear to you, then it is very easy, it's not difficult. So let me repeat this once again. Rahu, Jupiter and Ketu. This puts the focus on the second house for Mahendra. But for Rakhi, this becomes the 8th house. And the rule, the criteria is that if Rakhi's ruling planets are matching, then only she will have the result of the 8th house, which is a bad house. So during that time, Rakhi might start feeling low. 8th house is a very mysterious house. So it creates all kind of misery, misfortune. People start feeling low. All kind of negative things start happening. So, and like I mentioned, since the Rahu is not there in the in Rakhi's ruling planet, so impact is not going to be that much. But still, this is one period that you might want to identify and let your client know. So every now the we saw that Jupiter Ketu was one period. Another period could be Rahu, Ketu, and Jupiter. Another combination could be Rahu, Ketu, and Jupiter. So this is another kind of bad period for Rakhi, and but let's look at some of the future periods as well. Now let's look at the next dasha. So that's the Jupiter dasha. After the Rahu, you just have to click here. So Jupiter dasha. Now Jupiter dasha is going to start in 2041. But one thing that you have to notice that the Jupiter is quite a powerful significator of the second house. Jupiter is in the star of Saturn, and it is a very powerful significator of the second house. That's the first thing. And if you look at the ruling planets of Raki, then you find that the Jupiter is one of the ruling planets. So now the Mahadasha Lord is also matching. So this is not a good period, especially the Jupiter Ketu period for Raki. Because, and why? Because Jupiter is a very strong significator of second house for Mahendra. Ketu is also a strong significator for the second house. But since both of them happen to be the ruling planet for Raki, so you can identify this period, the Jupiter Ketu period. And at that time, you can mention that this is not a good period for Raki, and the focus is strongly will be on the 8th house. And then, of course, the things related to 8th house that you can mention. When we prepare the report, then I'll show you some of the text how to do that. So now let's create a simple rule. And our rule is that for Raki, second house of from Mahend's chart is bad. When Mahendra runs the dasha antar pratintar of second house, will it be always bad for Raki? So the answer is, and this is where we have to be appreciative of Professor Krishnamurti, the answer is no. Or the answer is depends on the ruling planets of Raki. If for Mahendra, I'm just abbreviating with MH. If Mahendra Dasha Antar planets matches Raki's RP, then yes. Else no. Okay. So this is such a simple rule, nothing, no complication and nothing. See, sometimes, because 7th house also indicates not only the wife, but not only the spouse, but the business partner also. So sometimes even, the Mahendra is making money, but one of the business partner, let's say Mahendra has 3 business partners, which are just like a close family members, just like a part of his Kutumb. And Mahendra is making money, but out of other 3 business partners, one is going through a bad phase. So how do you explain this? Because that particular business partner's ruling planet are matching with the Mahendra Dasha, Antar and Pratantar. So that's why that particular partner is going through a bad phase. Now, sometimes it's very difficult to get the horoscope and find the ruling planets. So, in that case, you can generally mention that if, of course, you have to put the condition that if the see when I was doing these reports and sending it to some of my clients, they were very knowledgeable. Many times I would request them to give me the horoscope of the children or mother. Sometimes they didn't have that, or sometimes they were just kind of they forgot about it. So in my report, I would always mention that if the ruling planet matches, I would identify the period, that these are the period where the wife or the spouse could feel low, but at the same time I would put a note that if this will only happen if the ruling planets of the wife or the spouse matches. Now I would say at least 60 to 70% of my clients, they are quite educated. These days people are quite educated and they have a fairly good understanding of astrology also. So it is always a pleasure talking to them, and when they would look at my note, then they would understand that what was being conveyed over there. So this also solves the issue that not every time when Mahendra is making money and the planet's focus is on the second house, then not every time the wife is suffering or the child is bringing some honor or recognition. And one more thing about the child. See, sometime when Mahendra is like maybe 50, 60 years old and his second house becomes active, at that time the child may have gotten into some kind of a service. So at that time you can't say that this child is going to become, a child is going to bring some honor and recognition. You can say that Mahendra, your child, your grown up child now in service will get a promotion because his ruling planets are matching with your uh, Dasha, Antar and Pratyantar. Same for the mother. If mother's ruling planet are matching, then what happens is that suddenly maybe something has been invested in the name of the mother, and then there are some dividends or some kind of a return. So mother starts making some profit, and for the father also the same thing. So it becomes very conditional. It's not a blanket kind of a thing that every time the Mahendra is going through the second, then the bad things are happening to the Kutumb or the good things are happening to the Kutumb. Like in like we mentioned that in the Parashar or the foundational text, the classic text, you can't possibly make this difference. If the planets are good, then you say, okay, the Kutumba will also be good and the wealth will also be good. But practically, you see, it never works like that. So now is the time to prepare a reading, a report exclusively focused on the second house, the gains plus the Kutumb. So let me show you how to do that. But before I do that, there is one feature that we added. Now you have, the save button is here. So this will help you create some or save these notes in your temporary storage. So if you click on it, so you get this message saved. So now let's go to the print section. The print section over here. And this has an option for generating a PDF and a Word file also. Now, since you are going to edit this, the output and put your comments and notes and reading, so it's a good idea to uh, save this as a Word file. You can also generate a PDF and you can edit PDF also. There are tools, but I think the Word might be easier. It is up to you. The idea is that you should be able to edit one of these documents. Now, when you save the document, then always make a copy of from the original. So I had an original by for the Mahendra, and then I created a copy and renamed it as Gains and Kutumb for easy reference. So here is the editable document for Mahendra, and we are going to append our notes in the bottom. So the report, I've already mentioned that this is focus on the second house, plus maybe we can mention Kutumb. And then it is a good idea to let your client know what this report is all about. So exploring astrological timeline affecting household members differently. So focus on the second house, Gains plus Kutumb. Okay. And then for Mahendra, you already mentioned that the upcoming period promises significant gain and wealth accumulation, whatever the second house indicates. So all these things you can mention over here. This is to educate your client also. And then in terms of Kutumb, what the second house indicates. So all close relationship you can mention over here that the Kutumb indicates. The idea is that the intro of this report should be clear enough to let the client know that what this report is all about. And then I like, since I have been using this format, you can come up with whatever format you like. But based on my experience, I found that this format is kind of, it has some clarity. When you send it to the client, then they know that what exactly is contained in this report. So Mahend's period of gains. So one period we notice something in 2026, something August to September. And now this period is the period when Mahendra will have some gains. Now what's going to happen for wife? So we saw that and discussed that since her Mahadasha was not matching, but still the B and C factor in the Dasha line, in the Dasha timeline was uh, matching. So you can say for wife, you can write she might express or quietly endure. Why quietly? Because that's what the 8th house is. Certain level of mental anxiety, and you can get some other things about the 7th, 8th house. Then for the son and daughter, if it matches, then write whatever the 10th house for son and daughter. If it doesn't matches, then leave it blank. Similarly for the mother, and then for the father. And if you look at, I have put the year in the beginning, so it's very easy for the client to look at the report in terms of years, that what's going to happen after 2 years, 3 years or 5 years. It's more readable. So this is how you prepare the report. This should not be more than 1.5 page, and there's everything in Jyotish Portal to help you create this report, and then you can send it to your client. You can save it, send it to your client. You can export it as a PDF and send this report to your client. So another small thing that can help you organize your documents. So on this particular document which you have prepared, for gains and Kutumb. See, this is the whole life reading. This is not just for 1 year, 2 year. This is a very important document you are sending to your client. You are sending a whole pers- perspective about the Kutumb in the context of the periods when Mahend is going to have gains. So in this document, you might want to keep a reference of this document in the Jyotish portal. I'll show you how you can do it. So I think here when you shift and right click, then you see this copy as path disappears. Copy as path. Shift and right click. So when you click on copy as path, and now when you go back to your Jyotish portal, now back at the Jyotish portal, click on the save and copy this particular path, and then here you can put a comment that second house plus Kutumb report sent to the client, and you can put the date over here. So this way it's very easy for you to quickly locate this particular document, and this reference alone is sufficient for you, and then you can update the document and save this. So this is how then you can create a good meaningful report, like I mentioned, that your client will like. Now before I end this video, there is one more thing that I would like to draw your attention to. Now, if you look from the Kutumb perspective, then you find that the second house is bad for the wife, it is bad for the father, and it is also by default it is bad and for the wife, father, and then it is also bad for the younger brother or sister, because this house becomes the 12th house. So sometime when a person, let's say Mahendra, is going through a financial gain period, and then it so happens that the father and the wife and the younger brother or sisters ruling planet are matching, then there he will begin to feel that what's something bad is going on, because three key members of the family are going through a bad phase. And this is now for Mahen, this is a good time. He has money and he is worried that he is not able to enjoy his money, and so he starts suspecting that there might be some jadoo tona, vastu defect, and all those kind of things. So then he is going to come back to you and ask you to provide some remedy. This is based on my own experience. This rarely happens when the three family members, they tend to go through a bad phase, but sometimes it happens, and that is where when the client starts suspecting about some vastu defect in the house. So my idea of saying is, of telling you this, is that don't recommend all those crazy weird kind of vastu remedies floating in the market. It's going to do more harm to the client, so don't do that. And sometimes I have even seen even some meaningful astrologers I have seen recommending some very bizarre kind of lal kitab remedy. Recently, while watching a video about someone that I think has a good knowledge, and there he had been recommending some Rahu remedy in the shape of not wearing slippers. Okay, so don't do all these kind of a things. And maybe in the next video, I will show you how to prepare a report for the remedies for the entire lifetime, not the piecemeal and not all these WhatsApp kind of remedies, but the one that's truly going to bring punya to you also and to your client also. So I'll see you soon with another video. This video became a little long because I wanted to explain this concept to you. And my idea was that, see, we are trying to make Jyotish Portal a more practical kind of a portal where you start preparing reports and start offering all these reports to the client, and you should not get entangled in some astronomical calculation and things like that. So I'll see you soon. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching this long video.